welcome to today's episode of Between Friends. Oh, I love where everybody's signing in from. Barnegat, New Jersey, beautiful place on the Jersey Shore. Judy Warren is tuning in from Hawaii. NC Lawson from Pennsylvania, Missouri. I don't know where Rolla is, but boy, I know Missouri got slammed with an awful lot of water recently. So hope everything's fine in your area, Betty Turner. And Deb's in Delaware. Awesome. Love it. Kansas City. I'm sure it's hot there like it is here in Texas. You know, we have a special guest today. We love that. And this is part 2 of hand-stitched florals, machine embroidery, how to mimic that look of that hand stitching. It's so much fun to do. So let's go ahead and welcome in my good friend, Reen Wilcoxson from Embroidery Garden. Hello, Reen. How you doing?
Good, Eileen. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's so nice to visit with you. And look at that beautiful quilt behind you.
Thank you. That's compliments of my friend Molly.
Oh, you didn't do it? Oh, my goodness. You're a lucky girl to get a gift like that, huh?
Yeah, she long-armed it.
Did
beautiful.
She? Oh, it's beautiful. Well, you know, those long armors don't have anything over us. We can do that too. Speaking of, we're going to be showing some quilting in a little while. So anyway, but here we are today talking about your new collection. I love that.
It's very exciting. The designs are just beautiful.
You did a beautiful job on that. And last week when I showed it, we had so much interest in it. And we've actually found some samples of what people have been doing themselves, you know, on the web. Like, let's go ahead and take a look at your good friend, Carolyn Hargrave. She did that rope basket. Isn't that cool?
Beautiful.
Yeah, really very nice. Very nice. And I know you have some great samples that we'll see in a little bit. Carolyn also did a crossbody bag on the cork, which is gorgeous. I love the red cork.
Yeah, those colors are just perfect.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done. And Tammy Madden. Oh, nice handbag, beautiful handbag. And I love that sprig, you know, that floral sprig there in the corner. Instead of it being centered, right? Just off-centered like that. It's very attractive, a lovely accent to that bag.
It's going to be perfect for fall too.
Yeah, she's already, right. She's kind of got the sunflower colors going on. And Diana Mullins Atkinson, she kind of went traditional, but I love that variegated towel. I wonder where she found that. And, yeah, her embroidery is flawless also. Now, I know you have some samples, but before we see yours, I'm going to go ahead and show the ones that I showed last week, and we can talk a little bit about it. If you have questions for Reen, folks, please type in because, you know, we're going to be here for a while answering your questions, showing samples. I'm just looking through them right now. Oh, Betty Turner, she said, most of the flooding was up by St. Louis, and they are halfway between St. Louis and Springfield. Well, lucky you, Betty. I'm glad that you weren't caught in that. And Marie Doyle from Ireland. Well, hello and welcome from across the pond far away, right?
Right.
Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Here we have Judy Whitaker. She belongs to the Peace River Quilters Guild in Punta Gorda in Florida. I'm pretty sure that's where she's hailing from. So much fun. And here's Sue Brown. You know, do you know Sue Brown, Reen? I don't know if you've had the opportunity to meet her.
No, I haven't met her personally, but I know that she does some beautiful work and does a lot of videos on your software.
Absolutely. She sure does. And you know, she covers lots of different software and other brands and so forth. But she owns OML Embroidery. And on Saturday, this Saturday, on her YouTube channel, OML Embroidery's YouTube channel, she'll be hosting a sew-along of the project that I'm going to reveal at the end of today's show. So that's super exciting.
It is.
She has a big following over there, Reen, and they call themselves the OML gang. So sometimes we see a lot of, you know, OML gang members here in the chat, which is super fun. All safe. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, my goodness. Carolyn Morrow, she loves the collection. She already purchased it and wonders if there is somewhere that has a 1 or 2 page or two pages that shows all of the designs. Well, that would be on our website. That isn't actually in the collection. There is templates, of course, in the collection. And we have a surprise, right, Reen?
We do.
Yeah. Do you want to tell?
Well, we have decided to add the cut files for the applique portions of the flowers. So I know everyone's excited about that.
Yes. So many, well, we had some requests from people who have already purchased the design and said, gee, I really wish there were cut files in here. So we've gone to the trouble of creating all those SVG files. And since you've already purchased this design, you can install it again and it will be updated for you. So you don't have to contact the office or anything like that. Use your original link to download and it'll grab those new files for you.
You make it so easy for everyone.
Oh, we try, and in today's digital world, it does allow us to respond quickly and service a customer a lot faster than we could in the old days, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So many things to think about. We probably should have included that in the beginning, but anyway. Yeah, and Sue Brown, she says, yay, she's glad people are using their cutters more. I think people are gravitating toward cutters a bit more than in the
Definitely.
past. Yeah, makes it convenient. But anyway, let's take a look at some samples here. So, Reen, my samples that I'm showing actually aren't my creation, right? They're all your samples. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this project that you did, these 4 blocks?
Okay, so when I started testing the designs and stitching them out, of course, like everyone, I just started making little blocks, stitching them onto fabric. And they just started turning out so pretty and so cute that I decided just to put a few of them together, make a small little table topper or hanging. It was just a really fun project. And I think that it kind of showcases the designs well.
It really does. And what we love this, the whole idea of the hand sketching is that it's kind of mimicking ink, right? The black lines, although you don't have to use black, but that's the idea. And the black outlines don't necessarily match up with the applique. That gives it that whimsical kind of, sketchy look, right?
Right. And I just love that.
Yeah, I do too. Really, very well done. And of course, then you send a pillow. First off, the fabrics that you chose are just beautiful. You have enough contrast between the flower center and the petals, and then the green, that little soft spot here, a little bit of yellow. That's not thread. That's just the fabric itself. So it just adds a little highlighting. And I love that you spent the time to make sure that you kind of fussy cut that, I imagine, right, Reen?
Yeah, I was lucky enough that I found that in my stash.
Nice. Yeah. Applique is great for all those little scraps that we have, right?
Right. And then the border on that pillow, that is one of your color play threads.
Yes. Beautiful. One of our variegated threads. I think that's probably cotton candy. Oh, that looks just lovely. It's a great example of when a variegated thread can be used successfully. It highly contrasts with this black fabric. And of course, because it has those pink and rose shades in it, it coordinates lovely with the fabric that you chose for the applique. Very, very nice. So Carolyn Hauber wants to know, how big is this pillow? Well, it's not that big. It is 10 inches square. So,
right.
Yeah, the design... All the designs in this collection come in a 5x7 hoop, right, Reen?
Right. They all fit a 5x7. So anyone can use them, really.
Yes, and that was our idea. But those of you with the big hoops, you can enlarge these. And Reen's going to show you that in a little while on a sample she has in her studio. And then I'll show you in software how you can do it. And remember, you can use our free software. You don't have to purchase any software. Okay, now I love this pillow. Now this pillow is larger. This is 14 inches in length, and in height it is about 10 inches. So 10 by 14. You did a beautiful job mirror imaging each of these corner designs, making sure they flank evenly, they're as symmetrical, and then that beautiful center medallion looks just lovely.
Yeah, that was a fun one to do. And, I love that you added the insert to it. My original thought was just to be like a little table mat, a place mat,
Oh,
something to put in the center of the table. So I really like that idea.
oh, well, I'm glad. Sometimes we receive samples and they don't have notes on them, so we just go off on our own tangent, right? Do what we want. So, but yeah, that's lovely as a pillow. It's a nice size for sure. Okay, so Ashley Jones, our wonderful, talented educator, embroidery wizard, she made this cardstock sample. Now look at that. Isn't that lovely?
That's
Those,
beautiful.
yeah, the straight running stitches, of course, because they're just running stitches, they do very well on cardstock. If they were satins, they would punch right through. But this is a great application to stitching on cardstock. And then she added a bow, a little ribbon bow. She used hot glue to glue it on. Now, she didn't, cover the back, but if you were going to actually, write something in this card, you'd probably glue a piece of solid paper behind it. If you were sending it to an embroiderer, if you were sending it to someone who doesn't embroider, they would not be offended by that. I know that from experience. I learned that, Reen, from, when we did the magazine all those years and we would go to the studio, and, our photographer was very talented and his whole team of people. It was always so fun. We would do that every 8 weeks and we would bring a big trunk of all the samples that we had to shoot at, in the next coming, this was what we called pre-pro, so pre-production meeting. And we lay out all the samples. And I was always intrigued to see their reaction to the samples because, we're embroiderers and, sometimes we're picky or, oh, we've seen that, we've done that, we've seen that, we've done that, right? But
Right.
to them, it's all fresh and new. And they were never offended by the wrong side of embroidery. And, because we would point that out and they'd be like, what's the matter with it? So
They're just in awe of the beautiful front.
Yeah, right. So, it just goes to show you how hard we are on ourselves, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's terrible. Okay. Back to Ashley Jones. She has this beautiful sample that she did, this t-shirt, V-neck t-shirt, and she used velvet. So that beautiful applique that you're seeing there is a napped fabric. It's velvet. And, it changes color depending on the light that hits it, right? Of course, I'm not really getting that play here, but believe me, from where I'm looking at, it looks almost navy blue. And from what you see, it's teal, much brighter, right?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. And, it's difficult to work with striped fabric. So applique is a great way to incorporate embroidery onto a stripe because it's enough solid area to contrast with the stripe so that it doesn't, interfere with each other, right?
Right. And doing these light, airy designs too on a knit.
Yeah, right.
That's just beautiful.
Now, Ann Philbeck wants to know, she said, Mylar, could you use Mylar? Well, you could, but you're not going to get the fill stitches that Mylar requires or traditionally requires. You're going to get some tack downs. Let me see if I have here. How about if we take a really close look at this corner, this pillow? So as you can see here, there are some open satin stitches in this area, adding some accent to just otherwise that circular flower, right? But this is just fabric. There's no fill, no light fill holding down that applique. And that's what's required for Mylar. I mean, you could experiment, but I don't think you'd be too happy with it. The whole idea is that this is open and airy. Now, you may want to put it behind your leaves. That would probably work, right?
I think it would.
Yeah, I think on the leaves. So look through the collection and determine what portions of the embroidery design have enough, stitching in there to just let a little bit of Mylar peek through and yet, cover it to hold it down. So I like that. Good job. All right. What else do we have? Let's see. Oh, I did this. Let's bring this out so you can comment on this. This is one that I did that I used linen fabric that frays. So I made sure that my edges were, I cut in the hoop, I didn't pre-cut. So I just literally put a big square of fabric over those placement guides and allowed the excess fabric to extend beyond the tack down. And then I took a fray brush and frayed those edges. And, I could trim some of these, kind of wily ones over here. But that's a fun technique. Kind of looks like vintage embroidery, right?
Right. That's a great application.
Yeah. So it's just a little different. Always something new. Okay. And then you, of course, were kind enough to send me a cork body what is it? Help me out, Reen.
A cork crossbody bag.
There's too many C's in there. Okay. A cork crossbody bag. It's beautiful. And you make these in the hoop, don't you, Reen?
Yes.
I love it. Look at
They're
that.
fully lined, no raw edges.
No raw edges, fully lined. How do you do all that? That's fabulous.
And then the appliques on that one are cork also.
Yeah, they are. So they're like cork or vine. Yeah, I guess they're cork. So that's really beautiful, very different. So cork on cork. You don't have to limit yourself to just cotton fabric. Right.
Right.
Okay.
And, you can also use HTV. I'm going to show a sample, using, vinyl heat transfer.
Yeah. Okay. Before we get to your samples, Lisa Giarantana says, is Mylar washable in projects? It is. It is washable. We're not really talking Mylar here today, but yes, Mylar is washable in projects if it's applied correctly, right? If it's you don't have enough stitches over it, then the abrasion of other garments in the laundry process, could maybe dislodge it. It's not going to fuse to your base fabric, right? It's held down by stitches. So just keep that in mind. And if you treat it normally like that, then you most certainly can embroider it. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So they love the purple flowers. Belinda says it's so pretty. Arnell's tuning in from Salem, Illinois. And Ann Philbeck, she loves Mylar. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know. Lots of people love Mylar. We probably should do more with Mylar, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a pattern for the crossbody bag? Well, of course.
Yes, on embroiderygarden.com. After I did that sample for Eileen, I wanted to come up with a whole set of bags. So I did a set that has 4 bags in it of different sizes.
Awesome. So you have some of them maybe you'd want to share?
Yes, I do.
All right. Awesome. Let's take a look at your samples. Oh, look.
Okay, so here's one of the other sizes, again, using a design out of the collection. And the appliques are cork.
Wow. I love that stone colored cork. That's very attractive.
Yeah.
Really
and in person, it's really, really nice. And, I use quality hardware on my samples and stuff. So these are really nice. Here's another one. And I put the design down in the corner, kind of like how Tammy did. I thought that looked really neat.
Very nice.
There are a few corner designs in the set. So perfect for something like this. And again, the flowers and leaves are cork. This one I did out of fabric, and the flowers are fabric. So, you don't have to do the bags out of cork. I want to make sure, you know that you don't have to do that, but it's kind of really cool looking. Oh, another one that I did. Again, these are cork. Another sample that I just finished up yesterday afternoon. I have a notebook cover on my website, and I wanted to put a flower on the front, and I wanted it to be really nice and big so that it really stood out. This is all fabric. And, I think that turned out just really nice. And of course, I had to do towels. So lots of applications for the designs. And I did, this one is still in the hoop, but when I looked at this flower, of course you could do it in any color that you want. But when I looked at this particular design in the collection, to me, it reminded me of a poinsettia. So I kind of thought I would do it in pinks and burgundy, kind of like all the colors poinsettias come in. And I enlarged this design. So this is actually an 8x8 hoop, and I enlarged the design. It's enlarged enough for the height to fit into, that's the maximum size that I could stitch in an 8x8. And I did that in Dime software using the CS2 file, which is the native file. And if you use that file, which you get when you, buy the set, download the set, and you have any Dime software, you can enlarge. And the most important thing is you can enlarge the design correctly so that it regenerates the stitches and it stitches out well. So that's how I did that. I also did this exact same design in metallics and heat transfer vinyl.
Look at that. That's stunning.
I try to hold it up so you can kind of get, the lighting is kind of a little bit too much, but that's heat transfer red glitter, green glitter, and white. And the little flower buds here are Kingstar Silver Metallic. And on this, instead of outlining it in black, because I wanted to do it on black, I outlined it in Kingstar Gold.
Beautiful.
It is really pretty in person. Another thing I wanted to say too, on this sample, I didn't do this in black. This is a very, very dark charcoal, exquisite thread. I think it's number 117, but it gave it a little more softer sort of a look, I thought.
Not so harsh, right?
Use black.
Yeah. Sometimes black is really harsh. So just toning it down to a deep, deep gray can make all the difference, right?
Right. And I thought it was just perfect for that because the colors and everything, I just thought it just looked nice in the dark gray.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Just beautiful. Okay.
I think I might make a bag, a holiday little zipper bag out of this sample.
Yes. Lovely. That's a great idea. Well, why don't I share my screen? First, I want to show you that it's still on sale, right? So, I introduced it last week and the introductory price is $39.99 and it's still on sale today. So you can take advantage of that. But I thought you'd like to see all of the embroidery designs that are in the collection. So here we go. I kind of printed a catalog really quick. So now the color that you are seeing is applique fabric, just so you understand that. We included applique fabric images so that it would convey, what it would look like when it's actually stitched. So just so you understand. So just all these beautiful blooms. There's that number 10 where you did on the pillow, the one on the second in on the center row, just beautiful. I don't know which one's my favorite. They're all really very, very attractive. And of course,
I just keep looking at him and looking at him. There's the one that I did with the that I thought looked like a poinsettia.
Right.
It doesn't have to be one, but it just kind of hit me. I could, if I used the right colors, could make it a poinsettia.
Absolutely. Arnell says you come up with the best ideas.
Thanks, Arnell.
Yeah. And Sheila Vetter says they're beautiful, and they really are. And Sue and Emden said they're all designs are so pretty. It's lovely to hear that. So let's see. Karen St. John wants to know, how do you use the heat transfer vinyl? You have some tips on that?
Yeah, now that the cut files have been included in the download, all you do is just cut it. You have to mirror image. If you're going to use heat transfer, the cut files need to be mirror image before you cut them. And then you just place it into the placement line. It comes with a cover sheet, and you leave that on as you press it, and you just sew over it. I mean, it's really very, very simple. It's nothing fancy or anything else that you have to do. You just use the vinyl in place of fabric.
Beautiful. Just gorgeous. I love that. Just love it. Oh, let's see. Denise S., she's tuning in from Western New York. She said she bought the collection. Now, it can't be more than a week ago because it didn't go on sale till last week, and she's already made 2 projects. Yeah.
Well, we want to see them. Post them.
Yeah, post them, and tag, post it on social media, Facebook or Instagram, Pinterest, and tag it with Dime Sew Along or a dime on the house, and we will find it. So Ann Hendricks wants to know, how long on average does it take to stitch these designs? Well, you're going to love this answer, right? Because 17 minutes, maybe 16.
Yeah, not very long. Maybe the larger ones, or the ones that have a lot more detail, might be maybe 18 minutes or so, but they do go very quickly.
Yeah. Now you'll see in the color sequence that it's really spelled out for you when to place the applique fabric and, cover that outline. And then if you're going to trim in the hoop, or if they're pre-cut, you would do it at those times. Now you will also notice in the color sequence, it's sometimes black. That's the color that's giving you that hand-sketched look. And sometimes that's listed in the collection 2 times or maybe 3 times, because it's going to stitch the ink, let's call it, that's in the background. And then you'll add some of the leaves and the flowers, and then it may add some more black on top. So don't think that's a typo. That's just the way it is. And that's so you don't see those black stitches, right over top of your beautiful applique, right?
Right. So don't color sort these designs or anything. They have to stitch in a certain order.
Yes, definitely don't color sort. Okay, Janet St. John says, so many projects, so little time. Definitely. And then Carol McElroy wants to know, are the download designs or a physical item? They are all download items. So you will, if you order to now, you can be stitching in 10 minutes, which I love, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. And then Ginger Fraser wants to know, what size needle and stabilizer do you use with the metallic thread? Well, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter about the metallic thread. Kingstar metallic thread does not require a special needle. You will select your needle to match your fabric, not your thread, just like normal sewing or embroidery. So it doesn't need any special steps or other products.
Nothing special at all. I don't slow my machine down. I don't move it like, a foot away from the machine, or, across the room or anything. You just put it on the machine and stitch with Kingstar, and it's just wonderful.
Yes, very dependable. Now, Mary Furman, she wants to know, will these designs work well with organza? Well, I tested that last week. And because there are some stitches that are applied to the fabric behind the applique, they will show through if you use organza. Now, I did learn that I could use 2 layers of applique. I could put a solid applique fabric. Let's say I'm going to use pink organza on white base fabric. So I would first place my pink cotton fabric with a layer of organza on top and stitch that, and then trim that away. And you probably want to fray that organza is what I wanted to do. So if you only use sheer applique, the under stitches will bleed through. So that's probably not what you want to do. Layer it with a solid fabric underneath.
Right.
Yeah. And Kristen wants to know, is there an instruction file separate from the color stops list? There are some. Is there instructions that come with that collection? Yes, there are. Yes, Reen, you wrote instructions that come with the collection, and that is included in the download. You have to, open that download folder and examine everything that's in there, right? So you're going to find your C2S folder, and that's going to give you the native embroidery designs in our software format. So that means if you want to resize these designs, if you want to go big like Reen did in her 8x8 hoop, then that's the format you should select and resize that in Embroidery Toolshed. Now remember, Embroidery Toolshed is a free software program that anybody can download from our website and use it to open our designs and resize them. And then you are not limited to, 20% or 10%. Sky's the limit. You're not changing the art, you're just changing the size. So,
yeah, and I'm going to experiment here next week, and I'm going to go bigger even than I did with, the 8x8.
Mm-hmm. Why not? Why not? Okay, so Sharon says, can I use Kingstar metallic in a regular sewing machine? Absolutely. If you have decorative stitches on your regular sewing machine, it will look beautiful. Now, I'll tell you a hint of when metallic thread looks its best. It looks great on wide areas like wide satins or satins with curves. So if you have decorative stitches that maybe like little leaves, little satin leaves, they would look beautiful. The run stitches that are in this collection that Reen stitched out in that beautiful King Star thread on the black, they work because there are numerous running stitches. They're stacked up next to each other. So that does work. But if you're just going to do a straight run stitch line on a sewing machine, plan on making several rows. That'll give you more punch to your effort for sure. Yeah, you're going to love that King Star. Absolutely. Sharon Weiss says, yes, Lisa, King Star is the best. You will love stitching with it. Absolutely. We do love it. Okay. So what else do we have? Well, Reen, I think people would like to know a little bit about you.
Okay.
Okay, because several months ago, it's been quite a while now that you were here. We did a 20 questions thing, and we had a lot of fun with it. So we'll ask you some different questions this time. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. Like, where were you raised?
Oh, I was raised in Indiana, just in a small little town. Lived there basically all my life, and got married and still stayed there. We're still in the same general area, maybe 20 miles or so from basically where I grew up still.
Wow. That's amazing. So do you know everybody in town? You must know everybody in town.
Well, the town that we're in now, we just moved here 2 years ago. So okay. I don't quite know everybody here yet, but okay. I still know quite a lot of people in the area.
Nice. That's very nice. Now, do you have siblings?
Yes, I have one brother. He's 5 years older, and he lives out in Arizona.
Okay. Does he embroider?
No, not at all. Doesn't sew, doesn't do anything. But, he is, I'd say, a little artistic. I mean, nice. He can do a little bit of drawing and stuff, and he likes to make things, like with wood and stuff. But
okay,
no kind of sewing thing.
Were you artistic as a child?
Well, I was always doing some type of craft. My mother, my grandmothers, and my aunt were always, busy painting, crocheting, sewing, doing everything. And I can remember as a child, every Christmas getting whatever was the new craft thing, like those kits, back then, back in the, 60s, 70s, whether it was the little loom that you put the stretchy little bands on, or I remember
those pot holders,
a bottle cutting kit, which I can't even imagine giving a kid these days, but I got a little craft kit, every Christmas.
That's adorable. Okay, well, we are working, so let's jump back to a technical question. So Joe's Creations wants to know, can she ask a question regarding needle sizes? Absolutely, ask away. We'll come back to your question when you post it. When did you start sewing?
Well, like I said, my mom and my grandma and, all the female family members sewed. And I really didn't sew too much until I got to, we had junior high, and, of course they had home deck, and that's where I really started, to sew. And I remember, you made a skirt, you made pajama pants. I think we even made a blouse in that, during that semester.
Wow.
After that, I was really hooked and just kept on going.
Great. So, Stephanie says, laughing out loud, she remembers those pot holders, the loop things on the stretchy. Yeah, I remember that too. That was just somebody's brilliant idea. How do we get rid of all these fabrics or something, right? Oh my goodness. And Gail Hanks wants to know, does the purse pattern come with the designs? No, the purse pattern has actually been out for quite a while. So that's a separate purchase, and you purchase that from Embroidery Garden. And the design collection you purchase from us here, or you can also, I guess, purchase. It's on your site, right, Reen?
Right.
Embroiderygardens.com. Let's see.
I like to put out designs that are blank, so you can add anything to them that you want.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's see. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably, I think it was either a nurse or a teacher. And I kind of became a teacher a little bit.
Did you train to be a specific career?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
I didn't go to college.
Mhm.
I kind of just jumped right into my business. I mean, not, right out of school or anything, but
It all
yeah,
came
I
together
didn't have
for
any
you rather.
formal training.
Yeah, it all came to you rather quickly, right? Like you kind of started the business. You and I probably started around the same time when machine embroidery became available to the home user, right?
Right.
Yeah, and
I
so,
started out really first doing craft shows, and I
uh
did craft shows with my in-laws for, I'm going to say almost probably at least 15 years.
really,
And, we
and
did
what
them
were
when
you
we were doing
selling?
large juried big shows.
And what were you selling?
They were sewn items. A lot of it back then was, primitive and that kind of thing. My
Oh,
father-in-law did woodworking.
oh,
And then we kind of hit a plateau. And right after that, right after we quit doing the shows, is when I discovered machine embroidery.
okay. Well, that's probably a blessing because you wouldn't have had time to do that and to do the shows and create this business. I mean,
Right.
it's really hard to run a business or create a business when you're out on the road. It really doesn't work. I can tell
Right.
you.
And as soon as I got that embroidery machine, I knew immediately that I wanted to create designs because
Yeah.
the dealer I bought it from said, yeah, you can create your own designs and stuff. And that's
Yeah.
really what intrigued me because that's what I wanted to do. And,
Yeah.
after I learned how to do it, I just kind of built my business. So,
Right. And of course, not to bash, and I don't know who your dealer is, but back then they would say, oh, yeah, you can make your own designs. Yeah, go ahead. And they'd sell it to you and then lock the door.
yeah,
Nobody knew how to do it.
it was almost where I was kind of self-taught because, it was hard to get, training and stuff back then.
Right. No, it didn't really exist for sure. Yeah, I know. So much fun. Okay, so let's see. Let's go a little bit more current. Let's talk about the last 12 months. Let's see. Do you have a favorite project of the past 12 months?
Ooh, that's kind of hard to say. I'm kind of trying to look around and see what I have
Yeah.
here. I don't know. Every time I make something, that becomes my new favorite project.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Many people say that, whatever I'm working on right now is my new favorite. Because I'm
Right.
always kind of
And I
looking
get
at, like,
excited about what's to come and thinking
yeah,
about, the next thing.
yes. And, we should talk about this because both of us as designers, you have deadlines, right? And you're going to release this crossbody bag. I'll pick on your project, and on, let's say, July 1st, right? And so you push and you push and you push, and now I'll talk about me because I can't talk about you. But I know once that's out, oh, I wish I had done X, Y, Z, or oh, it could be so much better if we had done X, Y, Z, right? Do you feel that
And
way?
sometimes, I think that. And, sometimes if I think, well, I really, really should have done, something different, then I'll put out, an update to it or something.
Yes.
But, as I'm creating, I really try to get everything I want in there, before I release it.
Right, sure. And we do too. We do too. Okay, so Sheila Walker says she remembers you from your Yahoo group. You're laughing where you gave away a lot of freebies. You're so creative.
I had that Yahoo group because that's what it was back then, 20
Yeah,
some years ago. The big thing was Yahoo. There was no Facebook or anything.
right.
And I had a group and I gave away a free design for a 4x4 hoop for, it was almost 13 years every
Wow.
month.
Every month.
That's how I built a good big customer base though,
Yes.
through Yahoo groups. And
Right.
a lot of those people are still with me today.
Isn't that lovely? Yeah, that's really lovely. Okay, so of the last 12 months, and you probably don't want to share this, but maybe you could because maybe it didn't make it to market. What was your least favorite?
My least favorite. Ooh, well, all my designs are my favorites.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
trying to think though. Yeah, you kind of caught me off guard on that one. I can't really think of something. There were numerous designs that I started and then never finished because it was like, oh, I don't like it. Nobody else is going to like it, or it's
Yeah.
not turning out how I envisioned it to turn out.
Right. Or if I struggled with it, they're definitely going to struggle with it. Let's not go
Right.
forward. Right. So Sheila Walker says, I loved you then and now. How sweet.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And Julianne Crookson says that she loves digitizers. She's not good at creating from scratch, but loves being able to purchase what others have created. Well, we most certainly appreciate that comment, right? I'm sure you agree, Reen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are people who they just love to stitch, and that's all they want to do is just stitch and make things. And then there are people who want to create those things for others to stitch, because it gives us pleasure too, creating them, as much as it gives, the person, the consumer who buys it, to stitch it.
Absolutely. Now, Ginger Fraser says that you remember one time you had said previously that you do your own testing, and Ginger thinks that's why your projects are so perfect.
Well, of course, I do my own testing. I mean, I will send some things to other people to test, but I kind of make it where I pretty much know it's going to stitch out perfect before I send it to someone else. A lot of times you do that to, like you mentioned earlier, to get a little bit of feedback to say, oh, I would add this in there. And you think, oh, yeah, maybe I should do that before I put it out.
Right. But, maybe we should also explain, the whole creation project, when you are bringing embroidery designs to market, there is so much testing that goes on. Absolutely. That's how you get a final product. We don't just draw and then assign the stitches to it and then put that on a package and out it goes. I mean, it has to be tested, on different types of machines, maybe different hoops, different fabrics, and find out which is going to be best. And it's a long process for sure.
Right. I mean, like, I've been doing this now for over 20 years, and I have just about every sample I've ever made. And I mean, it's taken up too much room.
Well, we moved offices several years ago. I guess we're coming up on five years. And it really forced, we had to go through the warehouse, right? We moved a warehouse, and in that warehouse were lots of samples. And so it forced me to, purge. And you have to. I mean, you just have to. But anyway, that's a personal thing that. Okay, let's read Becky Mum. So this is a great question. She says, your in the hoop projects are so well thought out. Do you stitch them on a regular sewing machine first and then work out the digitizing, or how do you work?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have been known to take paper and fold it and staple or tape it together, try and figure out my layering. I do go to a machine a lot of times to test some of my techniques, because in the hoop designs are like sewing. I mean, you have to remember that you're contained in a hoop, so you can work on the front of the hoop, you can turn it over, work on the back of the hoop, but you can't really take it out of the hoop, do something, and put it back again. So I do use the sewing machine to try and, go through some of the steps. I've used paper before. It is a process.
Yes.
So, and there are tons of, going to the embroidery machine and stitching it out and finding out, well, that doesn't work, and starting over again and stuff. So
that's awesome. Well, Sharon Weiss says that, wait, hang on. We'll go back to Sharon. But Kit says that she hated quilting because it took so long to finish one. Now that she's been introduced to embroidered quilting, it's changed her mind. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Kit, because it most certainly changed my mind too. I love that I can finish a quilt on my embroidery machine, because I'm never going to do all that free motion. I mean, and believe me, I've taken the classes, I'm capable of doing it. I even had a sit down long arm or mid arm, whatever you want to call it, and, played with it for a couple years. And I remember one time I did this, they called it a whole cloth quilt, and it was the measurement of a placemat, and literally took like 2 hours to free motion quilt all these tiny details. And after that, I said, I can do that on my embroidery machine in like 14 minutes. And I'm not getting any younger. So
I'm one of those people too. I like instant gratification. I want, something done. I don't want a project that's going to drag out for a while, because then I just make it drag out even longer.
So I sold that machine. and cleared it out of my sewing room. I love it. Okay, so Barbara Starkey says that she first met you in at Mid-South in Murfreesboro, and that you're a fantastic teacher. She loves your designs. That's very
Oh, thanks,
very
Barbara.
nice. Yeah, but Sharon was saying that you write the best instructions for all your In the Hoop projects, and she wants to thank you for that.
Thanks.
That's really
I try to write them as if, I'm writing to someone who has never, embroidered before, who maybe just went out and bought a machine and they're going to use my design as their first project. So I really try to make them beginner friendly.
Awesome. And so Gail Hanks wants to know, are you having embroidery classes anywhere?
No, not at this time. I recently, just last week, did a virtual with a store, but I haven't done any traveling or anything.
Yeah. I think many of us have learned that we can connect with more people online than, maybe attending the store. So, but it's always great to get with, meet other embroiderers and connect with them. So I'm sure you'll be getting back on the road sometime soon. Okay, so I do have another question. A couple more. What percentage of your ideas, that you get for In the Hoop projects actually come to fruition? Some must have a fail, right?
Oh, yeah. They're definitely, I think, I could do that in the hoop. And then it's like, no, I can't do that in the hoop. I would say probably, I don't know, it's kind of a high percentage, though, because now that I've done it for so long, I kind of know what I can do. I'd say maybe about 80% of my ideas I follow through and get done.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn Booth says that she loves In the Hoop projects because she likes short-term projects that can be finished quickly. Yeah, a lot of us don't have, like Reen, you and I were just discussing before we went live, that you're doing a mystery quilt, or sew along, something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, but without it being sectioned into smaller pieces, you probably wouldn't tackle it, right?
No, this is something that, you have a whole month to get like a little bit done, and it's going to go on for, I don't know, maybe 6 months. So
yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for sure. Okay. And then one last question before we move on to some other stuff is describe a perfect day for you. What's your day?
Geez, getting up, getting some coffee, coming down to my sewing room, and just sewing all day or doing whatever I want to do creatively all day long, not having to worry about, getting dressed or anything. Just, I just love a good big snow winter day where, I can just stay inside and just create. Because sometimes, once you get going on something, it just leads to a ton of other things. I love to have my embroidery machine going, my sewing machine going, my cutter going, just everything. Play with all my toys at once.
Yeah, I've learned though, I'm kind of like that also. We have a lot of toys, right? And but I try to stay off the web. If I'm really going to be creating, I will literally turn off the internet on my computer, which is, when you own a company, that's an absolute no. But you just can't get anything done. The email that keeps flowing in, and then you'll jump out to research something on Google or YouTube, what have you, and next thing you know, you're reading the New York Times or doing the crossword puzzle, and that's not good, right? So
right,
yeah. So Janet Burville says that she first met you at the sewing studio in Maitland, Florida, and she took a class with you, and she's still embroidering. That was
quite a while ago.
That's one beautiful shop, isn't it?
It is. I love it.
Yeah. Folks, if you're ever in Maitland, Florida, make time to visit that store. It is a fabulous store. So think about it. They're in Maitland, Florida, which is a suburb of Orlando. So they have fabrics, tons of quilting fabrics, but also all kinds of knits and shears and theatrical things, because there's lots of theatrical costume makers in Orlando, not only for Disney, but also for Universal Studios and those other, types of theme parks and the smaller venues. So, boy, you can walk into the sewing studio and find anything that you're searching for. So I'd love to get back there. I haven't been there in a long, long time myself.
Yeah, I mean, they have, when I went there, vinyl, cork, big rolls of all just kinds of luscious fabrics
Yeah.
and things,
Right.
and a huge
Right.
bridal selection,
Yeah.
especially sewing.
Absolutely. And, because it's Florida, so they have a lot of not that I would make a bathing suit, but they have a lot of Lycra and, just great, great place. Yeah. Jennifer Verville says the sewing studio is like a candy shop. Sure is. Sure is. Okay. So, hey, let's jump over into Embroidery Toolshed, and I'm going to show you that I opened up Reen's, one of her flowers in Embroidery Toolshed, and I opened the C2S collection, right? So I'm just going to left mouse click and drag the cursor over that design and then enlarge it. I can go up here to the transform tab and see how big it is. Now it's 8.5 by 12 inches. And what I'm doing, why it's getting smaller, is that's just my cursor magnifying the image. So you can go, you have a 10 by 16 hoop. Let's go see, let's take a look at it in that size. So that's going to be a little wide. So you can see I have a check mark in the maintain aspect ratio, and you'll want to keep that check mark in there. And that means it's going to size the width and height proportionally. There's also a check mark in regenerate stitches. So it's changing the stitch count, which is exactly what we want. So if I'm going to enlarge this to 16 inches, the width will be 11.28, which is going to be too large for my 10-inch hoop. So I'm going to change the width to 10.25, and now my height is 14, so that will work in that hoop. Now, isn't that beautiful? No reason why you can't resize this to as big as you want. Imagine how pretty that would look on a Euro sham, or a large couch pillow for the family room or something like that. It's so easy to do. And let's go ahead and take a look in that color sequence. And of course it's grouped here, so I'll ungroup that. And here you can see all the different colors that are included, and it will tell you applique and so forth. It gives you all the different segments, but it's going to supply that for you, all that information. So I hope you're taking advantage of that Embroidery Toolshed. All of our design collections at Dime include that C2S format so that you have the freedom to resize and get beautiful results. So Carolyn Morrow, you were asking, what is C2? Well, it's C2S, and that is the format of the embroidery design. Like if you are a Viking user, the format you use would be VP3 or VP4 for your machine. Well, in our software, our native format is C2S. And all of our embroidery designs come in multiple formats. You get them all when you purchase our downloadable designs. And C2S is one of those formats. That's the one you should use to resize and then save it in your machine format. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I will go to File, Save As, and you'll save it wherever you want. But here's the list of embroidery formats that you can save in. I mean, we have long arm formats, but here's Viking VP4. Up here, we have all the different versions of PES, Bernina EXP, and Janome JEF. So everybody can use Embroidery Toolshed. We are machine friendly for all brands. Isn't that awesome? So I do not mean SVG files. I'm not talking about SVG files. I'm talking about the C2S, which is the native embroidery format. SVG files are a completely different thing. They are a cut file. And Embroidery Toolshed will not create them. We have other software that does that. But in this collection, you get the SVG files. That's pretty cool, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. How do you make SVG files in Embroidery Toolshed? Well, that feature is not available in Embroidery Toolshed in the free software. It is available in many of our other software programs. But we have other stuff to do. What's the difference between all those PES files? Well, that's really a brother and baby lock thing, right? So as they come out with new machines, they often have a new format, one that's updated that will do, I really can't speak, but I would imagine their machine model, the newer ones, maybe require more data to read the embroidery file. So that's all that means. That's all that means. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Just almost everybody can read PE6. So use that if you're worried. If you have the top of the line, use the latest one, PE9, a PES9. Okay.
Too many things to remember.
Too many things to remember. Let me just see where we are, what we're supposed to do next. Well, we were talking about quilting. So should we move on to quilting and talk a little bit about our new product reveal? So ocean waves, just in time for all those ocean beach themed tropical water quilts that have been in your mind. Maybe you've been working on them all summer and now it's time to quilt them. Well, we have this beautiful collection, 22 different embroidery designs, diamonds, squares, circles, borders, and so forth, all for $39.99. Look at the variety that you get. You're going to find border designs, half square triangles, and even diamonds. You'll find all of those beautiful embroidery designs. They're just single run stitches and they have no tie-offs, just, once in the beginning, ties in the beginning and ties off at the end. And this collection also includes our C2S format, so you can resize these in Embroidery Toolshed, which is awesome. But they do come in quite a few different sizes. They come in as small as 4x4 and as large as 8x8. But because they're running stitches, you most certainly can resize them in Embroidery Toolshed. So isn't that awesome?
That's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. And so that quilt that you see there on the cover, let's go ahead and take a look at the machine stitching over there on the Weightless quilter. Aren't they gorgeous? I love how they're so watery. They just give you that really kind of fluid, summery look. There's some dolphins jumping in those diamonds. And, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, the color of that quilt is perfect for that.
Yes, it really is. But, and a lot of, like, if, baby quilts, like for boys, a lot of times nautical designs are apropos for a little boy. And so it doesn't really have to be beachy, right? It doesn't have to always be, summertime and tropical. It can just be soft blues and something, along that line. But I love them. And, I'm often looking for watery designs because they can accent a lot of different projects. So I'm really happy to see this new collection. Yeah, that was produced by our friends at Great Notions. Jackie Woods and her team. Isn't that fun? So it's 22 designs for $39.99. That's a great deal.
That's beautiful. And plus you get the ability to resize them if you need it. So
right. That's right. Okay. So what else do we have? Well, you know what? This is on the house. So every week, Reen, we give away a free design and it showcases our exquisite thread, which many people have really been enjoying. So let me just see what this one question from Annette West is. She says, on her brother machine in the list of hoop size, some of it says color or monochromatic. What is the difference? That's a good question. Maybe you know this, Reen. Let's see what she's saying. In the list of hoop sizes, some of the hoops have a description that says color or monochrome. What is the difference? I'm not sure why a hoop would have a description that says color or monochrome. Do you?
It does. I've seen it, but yeah. I don't know the answer to it either.
Oh, I've never looked that up. Is it on in the machine?
When you go into the design settings to pick your hoop size, there's, one that does have monochrome and I don't know what the difference is.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Maybe we can report on that next week. Truth be told, I never, ever go in there. I just put the hoop on. I mean, the machine knows what size. So why do you select a hoop? Are you talking about brother machines?
Yeah, she's talking about a brother machine. Sometimes you want to select a hoop because maybe you're going to design something for that size hoop. She's talking about a PE design. She's talking about in the software, not on the machine.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about PE design and won't know next week either. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, because in your software, you don't have to pick a hoop size to design something.
So Yude wants to know, is it possible to change a design from EXP to C2S and resize it? Not really. Not really. If you have Perfect Embroidery Pro, our full digitizing program, then yes, you could do that, but you couldn't do it in Embroidery Toolshed. So I'll just stop right there. Let's look at on the house. We had several people really enjoy the summer tree. That's Mary Downey. Oh, I just love how she did that. That's so pretty. I love the swing hanging from that. It's adorable. And Cheryl Henderson, she stitched our summer bicycle with the trailing vine. I love that. It's kind of romantic looking, kind of vintage looking, really lovely. Sunny Girl is back. Marion Kearns. I'll tell you, people have just loved Sunny Girl. And I think they're going to be excited about what comes up in August for Sunny Girl. So beautiful job on Sunny Girl. And look, she stitched that on terry cloth. So notice how it stitched very well. Those flowers are dense enough to cover that nap, and yet the open areas look just fine. Just beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And Linda McMillan, here's one of the bowl. We did those, bowl warmers in February, I believe we did that. You Warm My Heart. And she stitched that on gray. That looks very lovely. And then Laura Newhouse, she also posted one that's in progress. She hasn't pieced it together to do the dart so that it creates that bowl shape, but that looks really nice, doesn't it? I love that. Have you made them?
I love that batik.
Yeah. Okay, so Colleen wants to know, how do we get Sunny Girl? Well, all of these designs are still free on our website, all the way from the first week in January up till week, I think we're at 30 now. So you can go and grab any of those designs. They're listed by week. Take advantage of them. They will go away at the end of the year. So go grab them. And, if you're new to this program, at the end, on the last Thursday of the month, like today, I give you a project featuring the on the house design, either a new one or featuring some of the ones we've done in that month. So that is what is up next. But before we see it, Janie Harmon, she did our skating bird. Isn't that fun?
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah. Really very nice. And also Janie Harmon did the same skating bird, but now on a greeting card. Very lovely. Really well done. Yeah. So this month's project is a tray, a quilted tray with 4 coasters. So you're going to have all 4 season trees. You'll find winter, spring, summer, and fall. And you're also going to find the quilted tray. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Here we have a closer up image. These are fast and fun to make in the hoop. And it really makes a lovely host set. So here's the 4 designs. Now, the winter and spring and summer designs have already been available, and they are part of many of you have already downloaded them maybe, but I've changed the designs that now I've added quilting to stitch first, and then those very same tree designs stitch on top. And the last color is a seam that will allow you to add backing fabric, and you'll see in a moment. These coasters are done in a 4x4 hoop. And the tray, the quilted tray, you have 2 options here. You can do it, you could do the large tray in a 7x12, or you can do a large piece of fabric, but just quilt the bottom of the tray in a 4x4 hoop. And I have provided a PDF pattern for the 4x4 users so they can complete the project. And here it is. So you would then just, print this out, place it over your 4-inch quilted fabric. All the instructions are included in the download, but you'll be using those seam lines and cut lines and all of that. So let's take a look at the steps. First thing you're going to do is hoop stabilizer and place a piece of batting in the hoop and stitch color 1, which will tack that down, and then trim around the tack down as close as you can. Lay a piece of cotton fabric over the batting and stitch the next color, the quilting, and then go ahead and complete the rest of the embroidery design, which will be, the trunk and the leaves, the swing in this case, the butterflies, and so forth. And then at the last color, before the last color, you'll place a piece of backing fabric right sides together over that coaster and then stitch it. It will leave an opening at the top, and you'll use that to turn the coaster. Of course, you're going to trim first. You're going to take it out of the hoop and trim. I got a little close to my corner over there on the left, so maybe leave on that left lower corner. So don't do as I did there. Use those other 3 corners as your example. And then turn them right side out, and there you have it. Isn't that fun? And tie them up in a little bow. Yeah, tie them up in a little bow, and that makes a really nice hostess gift. Now you could tack these, to the side if you wanted, and just do like a little bar tack stitch. But I like the kind of pointy extended corners. So there's no instructions on how to do that. But I hope you'll enjoy these. These are really fast, and you can get going on your holiday gift giving list maybe, and just, start doing a whole bunch of coasters, right?
It's time to start getting those holiday gifts started.
Right. And if you have a big hoop, like you could do 4 coasters in one hooping for sure. So if you're going to give it to 4 people, do all 4 fall in one big hoop, then all 4 spring, then all 4 summer. And then you're going to be done. Yeah. So super fun. So what do we have next week? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the box. Sorry. So instructions for how to create the box. Again, you're same way. You're going to quilt the fabric, add the batting, add the fabric, and then the last step is to add the backing fabric. Now, it will only be quilted on one side, and I opted to make my coaster tray so that the quilting was on the outside, okay? And the inside is plain, but that's your choice, however you turn it, all righty? Okay, so here we go. You're going to right sides together, fold it, matching the corners, and then stitch across that seam. Now that's quilting, a line of quilting. So that's your guideline. You're going to stitch right across that, and you'll repeat that on all four corners. You'll do on this fold, you'll do these 2 corners first, and then you'll refold it. It looks a little odd at this time. Use clips. They're quite handy to hold all this together. And then sew those last ones, and that's it. It's as easy as that. Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Cute.
Yeah.
It will make an adorable gift.
It will. And, I chose this kind of batik, fall colors. But my goodness, you could do any kind of fabric that you want. So Lisa wants to know, what type of stabilizer do you recommend? Goodness, I don't remember, but it is listed in the instructions. So I hate to say right here, maybe you'll allow me to look just for a moment, and I can check that out for you, so that I don't tell you the wrong thing.
That quilting would look really nice in the variegated thread too.
It would look really nice in the variegated thread for sure. For sure. Okay. Bear with me. Here we go. We're getting it. Okay. Now, I used Tear Away, Wash Away. So very nice. So let's go ahead and show, let's see, I'm bringing up PowerPoint so they can see the instructions. So as you can see, you will get these instructions in the download gift. So the whole list of what's required for each one, and the list of thread. On this case, I only listed the fall tree. But you can, in the actual download, you'll have all the color sequences for all 4 trees. And so, all the different steps, everything is right here. Same thing for the boxing the corners, and that's the larger, the 7x12. And then I also show you how to do it in the 4x4. So everything you need will be right there. Okay?
Perfect.
Yeah, pretty fun. Pretty fun. Okay. So, well, Reen, it was so great to have you here again today. I most certainly would like to thank you for your time.
Oh, thanks. I had a great time. I had a nice time seeing everyone, chatting with everyone, and, showing the collection because I'm just so happy with how it turned out.
I'm glad, Reen. Well, I'm going to answer some more questions. Patricia Howe wants to know, do I back my fabrics? Not in this instance. I didn't need to back my fabrics because I used that tear away, wash away, and I have batting in there. So that's plenty of stabilizer, plenty of foundation for these designs. And then also, you'd want to know, why do I use wash away, tear away? I use wash away, tear away because it gets soft over time. I don't really want these to be super stiff. I like them to be rather soft, just a piece of cloth, a quilted piece of cloth to have on a table to catch, protect your furniture. So I don't back the fabrics, and I love that wash away, tear away because over time, and if I throw these in the wash, then they'll even get softer. Yep, for sure. And might make a cute bread basket. It would, but it's small. It's a small tray. So let's not forget that. You're not going to have a whole loaf of bread in there. The bottom is only 4 inches. You could resize it, if you wanted, for sure, and make a bigger tray. That's up to you. And you could do that in Embroidery Toolshed. And Becky Mums wants to know, will the OML gang be making this project on Saturday? I hope so. If Sue Brown's in the audience still, she could pipe in and let us know. So I hope so. Let's see. You love the free design. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Sharon's going to make all 4 coasters with the fall and then do the same for the other seasons and change them out. That's lovely. Really, really lovely. And then Marianne says, do you use anything in the middle for a moisture barrier? Nope, my furniture's not that expensive. Don't really care. That's kind of rude. But no, I mean, they're going to get a little damp. That's all, right? Probably on the top. And Sue Brown says, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see, Ann Philbeck says she recently used 2 sheets of tearaway. Is that best? She had no puckers. That's a personal choice. I never use 2 layers of very rarely use 2 layers of stabilizer. If I need to, I'll go to a heavier stabilizer, but I rarely use 2. Okay. Yep. And Sue Brown says you can do the sew along with her Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time. Sue, is that Central Time? And where will you find the free designs? You can get all those free designs over at the Designs website. I believe the link has been in the chat. And here we'll run it again in just a moment. Yeah. And yep, quilting cotton, you did, Ann Philbeck, that's what I used with the 1 layer of tearaway, wash away, and the batting. So, yep. Oh, Sue Brown corrected me, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're going to join, that would be Eastern Daylight Time, I imagine. That Daylight Savings and Standard Time always kind of throws us for a twist. So, Reen, thanks so much for joining me. I know everybody enjoyed having you here. It was just delightful. And you're coming back.
Yes, I am. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you're going to be back here on August 18th, right?
Right.
At 1 o'clock with Ashley Jones. And you are going to be introducing a brand new big thing for Dime in the Embroidery Garden.
Right. So everyone make a note right now.
Right. Mark your calendars. Yes, mark your calendars. All right. Okay. Thank you, Reen. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We enjoyed visiting with you, and we'll see you here next week.
Thanks.